Hello, my fellow traders. This is your host Mandeep. It is August 14th, and I'm going to do a short tutorial today and look at how to identify the best trading stocks using the sector performance. Now, a couple months back in May, I did a tutorial where we took a look at the sector performance and weightage, right? So as most of you know, there's 11 major sectors in the S&P 500, and we actually ended up creating a study that plots the performance of these sectors and on the Thinkorswim chart. And in this particular version, we've made some further improvements to it. So before we look at the new version, I wanted to show you what we had created in the old one. And what it is listing here is, each of these sectors has a certain weightage in the S&P 500 index, where technology, makes up 26.6% of the index, and energy is 2.3%, but this obviously has changed because the energy sectors have started performing better. And now you have a situation where energy is more close to 4% in weightage of the entire sector. Now, either way, the idea of this particular study was to stack rank the stocks and tell you which was the best performing sector for that particular day. Now, when you see the entire thing in red, that is telling you that all of these sectors were trading positive from the open. So we're not looking at the performance of these sectors from the prior day's change, but it is actually from the open of the day, right? So we're basically looking at, close minus the open, and we can look at it from two different standpoints. One is just the net change, and the other could be the percent change. And I'll walk you through that in a moment. Now, one of the drawbacks that I found in this was that one, if you have a bunch of studies and you have to add yet another study, it ends up, adding a little bit more clutter to your chart. And the other thing I noticed was that if you just kind of looked at these numbers, you had to, obviously, uh, these were not stack ranked in the order, right? So if XLY, which is consumer discretionary, was at the top, then we should have. It would be nice if we see that as the number one sector. So that's one change we've made in the code, and we've also now added labels that show you on the top, and I'll walk you through that in a minute, right? So now, as you can see, this is a zero line, and so all of these sectors were positive, right? So this was obviously a trending day on Friday, and each sector was on the positive side, and it gives you a lot of long opportunities. But let's say on a day which is more neutral, where half the sectors are up and half the sectors are down, how would a methodology like this help you in picking the right stocks? So now let's just move to the new version that we've created. First of all, what we've done is, as you can see the consumer discretionaries on the top, and information technologies number two, and now these are actually stack ranked based on the best relative performance. So just by quickly taking a glance, you can see, all right, my, if I really want to day trade, my best options would be to look at consumer discretionary, then technology, healthcare, material, right? These are your top stocks, but it's completely up to you how you want to trade it. But since financials, communication services, consumer staples were at the low end, your high probability trades probably would come from the top two or three sectors. Now, what we've done at the top is that we've also color coded, the best three performing sectors. Now, in this case, because none of these sectors were trading negative, right? They're all above zero. You have nothing in red. Otherwise, on a typical day when the market is mixed, right? Let's say out of the 11 sectors, six are up and six are positive and five are negative. Then you will see, the three best performing sectors and the three worst performing sectors. It doesn't always mean there will be three worst performing sectors, right? Because let's say just one of them is negative, then only one will show up in the label here. So now the other thing we've done is we've also color coded this as dark green means the best performing sector, the technology being the second best performing sector, and the light green in healthcare tells you that the third best performing sector if you wanted to focus was like, healthcare, which could be large pharmaceutical companies or healthcare providers or, medical equipment providers, right? That you have to then further drill down. I'll show you a quick and easy way of how to do it. Now, there's one other nuance to it that I wanted to share with you. So we go into the study, and you can see there's an option called net change and net change. So what we've done is the net change gives you an absolute price change from close to open. But if you wanted to look at the percent change, you can also change it to so that value, right? And if you do that, then you obviously want to do it for both, right? And the result will be slightly different, right? Because of the way the computation happens. But for most part, I would recommend just staying consistent with one or the other, right? So in this case now, percent change wise, you had materials that was the best performing sector, but either way, you can still see that, materials and consumer discretionary, energy and technology were sort of the best performing sectors. And that's what you wanted to focus on, right? So since we see consumer discretionary as one of the best performing sectors, one of the things you could do is you could just go into Market Watch, and then you can go into, I'll show you from the beginning, you go into public, then drill down into Russell 100, and then you can see, okay, consumer discretionary. So we see these are their standard stocks, right? Amazon and Tesla, the brighter the green, the bigger the move, right? So almost all of these sectors were doing well. Again, Friday was an anomaly. It was a trending day, and you could have traded a lot of different stocks, but on most days it's not the situation. But either way, once we have Tesla, we can drill down and see using our automated trading system that we developed or use called the UTS. If we got a buy signal, and then you can see we traded, we had a long signal on Tesla, and we can drill down by looking at the report to see, and you can see it made $1,467 in profits, right? And this obviously was discussed extensively in our room as well, because a number of us took that trade. And this is primarily based on the fact that you had this is one of the top two performing sectors. So it made sense to look at consumer discretionary. Again, energy was also another good sector on Friday, and so one of the stocks that had a buy signal was ConocoPhillips from the energy sector, and this also triggered a buy. And both of these trades were actually trades that I took, and I did call them out in our Discord room as well. So and then if you want to look at other material stocks, right? So there's material stocks. You could look at stocks like SQM, and you can look at CF Industries and other stocks from that particular sector, and you can see you had like two good trades that showed up because you were picking trades from the best performing sector. So if you want to use a top-down approach, right, to trading, you always want to start by looking at how the indices are doing, are they positive or negative, right? So that gives you a clue. The second clue really comes from looking at the sector performance, right? Because there's always a constant sector rotation going on in the market, right? Let's say on days when interest rates are moving up, the 10-year Treasury, TNX interest rates are moving up. Now, typically financials will end up doing well, and you'll see financials probably in the top, right? Now, that gives you a pretty good clue as to where the market participants are focusing on. And thereby it gives you an edge that you otherwise may or may not have, right? And clearly, we use a bunch of scans as well that then help us identify the stocks inside those sectors. But let's say you didn't want this study to be, showing up. You could actually get rid of this and just have this top study, and you will know instantly what are the best two or three, sectors that are doing really well, and then identifying and picking stocks from that area. Again, DraftKings, this is also a consumer discretionary play, online sports betting. And then again, as you can see, this actually ended up giving you a nice trade. Now, you could have obviously picked up from some of these sectors as well, consumer staples, but what you're trying to do when you're day trading is you're trying to find the best of the best. You're trying to stack the probability in your favor, and this is one way of doing it. I'm not saying this is the only way of doing it, but this is the approach that I take. I also want to give a shout out to Ani Khanna from my Discord room, who's always very helpful in helping me improve the code that we have. So I'll put a description and the link from where you can download these two studies. And I hope you find them helpful. Please leave a comment, and I'll try and do other tutorials as I find them useful. So sometimes I have a little bit of a gap between the tutorials that I end up doing because my goal is quality over quantity. So trying to find things that I find useful that I'm going to use and then share those with the people that follow me. So wishing you the best for the coming week, and I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye bye.